Hi family, hola familia. My name is Jackie Wood. Mi llamo es Jackie Wood, and this is Live, Learn, Grow. Y este es vivir, aprender y crecer. Alright, real quick, today's video, I don't know why this is in my hand. Today's video is going to be like a little bit longer because I have stuff like about this week's topic and then just like some updates and what have you like at the end of the video. But I did still want to do like the Fun Day Thursday things. Estoy leyendo, entonces sé amable, por favor. El video de hoy es un poco más largo de lo normal porque quiero hacer la explicación final y darle actualizaciones, pero es juegos, así que también quiero incluir algunas cosas divertidas. Alright, welcome back. Bienvenido de nuevo. Let's get started real quick, and then we'll get into everything else. So we have 3 rules. Tenemos 3 reglas, and they are be kind, be respectful, and do your best to be your best self. En español es sé amable, sé respetuoso y haz tu mejor esfuerzo para ser tu mejor yo. And then for our value statement, you guys can, as always, repeat after me. Say it with me, do nothing. It's up to you, and it goes like this. I am strong. I am brave. I can use my mind to be thoughtful, imaginative, respectful, and kind. My creativity is powerful. My ideas can change the world. I am awesome and fantastic. My life has purpose and value. Hands over your heart, breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth. Shalom. Entonces, para nuestra declaración de valor, puedes repetirme o hablar conmigo o nada, y eso está bien. Entonces, decimos, soy fuerte, soy valiente. Puedo usar mi mente para ser reflexivo, imaginativo, respetuoso y amable. Mi creatividad es poderosa. Mis ideas pueden cambiar el mundo. Soy increíble y fantástico. Mi vida tiene un propósito y un valor. Pon tus manos sobre tu corazón. Inhale con la nariz y exhale con la boca. Shalom. Everyone knows shalom is a Hebrew word that means peace. Shalom es una palabra en hebreo que significa paz. Decimos eso para hablar sobre nuestras vidas y nuestros días. We say that to speak it over our lives and over our days. So imagine, if you will, that there's a flower. I don't know why I always use flowers. I just like them. But there's a flower. Let's say she's a daisy. And she lives in a meadow, like surrounded by other kinds of flowers and plants and things. And she originally is down with herself, right? Like, she loves herself. She likes the way that she looks. She likes that she's a daisy. She likes where she's at, like everything. She's just she's cool with it. She doesn't have a problem with it. She likes it. And then she meets this older set of daisies, and they're telling her, since she's getting older, flower years, they're telling her all the things that she needs to be a good daisy. They're telling and trying to change her petals, trying to change her leaves, trying to change her stem and everything. But she wants to be a good daisy, and they're older than her and they're daisies as well. So she's like, I guess this makes sense. So she starts to try. And then these other flowers, not even daisies, just this other group of flowers, she meets them and they start telling her what she needs to be a beautiful flower, and so that people will like to look at her, and so that she can be admired and everything. And so this and ultimately they're trying to tell her all these things to get her to look more like them and be more like them. And again, though, she wants to fit in, and she wants to be a good flower. She wants to be admired. She wants to be picked. or, you know, at least have people take pictures of her and be like, oh, so pretty. So she tries to follow these examples, and she tries to follow all these like suggestions from these other flowers, and she does start to look different, but it's like slowly is like dying inside, right? Because she's a daisy trying to be a rose, and she's a daisy trying to be a tulip, and trying to be a lily and a dandelion, and like all these other whatevers. And so, like, she just wasn't made to be those flowers. She was made to be daisy, and she was made to be like her own daisy. So she looks kind of okay on the outside, and then but on the inside, right, she's fading away. And then one day, you know, she just realizes, I'm not them, I'm me. And so she does what she can to get her old petals back, get her leaves back, get her stem the way that she likes. And she just doesn't care anymore what the other flowers think. She doesn't care if anyone comes around to admire her or wants to pick her. She's happy to be a daisy. So just like the flower, you're going to be told in words or through images from a lot of different people and places who you should be, what you should look like, what kind of job or life you should have, etc. And so point one of love yourself, be yourself, is to know yourself. The reason you have to know yourself is so you don't get lost in here or out there in the craziness of life. You have to know yourself so you recognize the lies and ignore them. You have to know yourself so you can recognize help and recognize the truth when it comes and listen to it. The second point of love yourself, be yourself, is to be humble and honest. You have to be humble so you don't walk around like you're perfect and won't ever need to be taught anything, or won't ever need help, won't ever need to change or work on some things. Then you have to take that humility and be honest with yourself. If there are bad habits, you need to break them. If there are unhealthy ways you think, those need to change. If you do hurtful, bad things to yourself and or other people, those need to stop. Like, be a helper, not a hurter. Be humble and honest so you can forgive all the past versions of yourself and all the life you've lived up till now. On my personal journey of being able to love myself, one of the things I struggled with the most, and that was just like getting in my way, wasn't loving who I was at the time, but loving who I'd been before. That's a part of your story. You don't have to be proud of that version of you. You don't have to be happy about them. You don't have to like that version of yourself, but you do have to accept that it happened. Then have some grace on yourself. Know that you're not the same anymore and move on. You also have to be humble enough to love yourself without thinking you're better than everybody else. It's okay to accept compliments. It's okay to look at yourself in a mirror or a picture and smile because you love the person looking back at you. It's okay to think good things about yourself and remind yourself of them. Be honest with yourself about that stuff too. You're a beautiful creation, a masterpiece, a genuine original work of art. But then just also know that the same is true for everybody, and you have to be okay with that too. And then the last part of love yourself, be yourself, embrace who you are and embrace your different. So embrace the things about you that are normal, but also embrace all the things about you that are weird, goofy, hilarious, awkward, different. Those are your thumbprints. Those are your snowflake patterns. And in case you didn't know, no one has the same fingerprints, and no snowflake is like another #science. One of my favorite people is in my youth group, and something I appreciate about her so much is that she's weird and quirky, and totally unashamed of it. So when I'm with her and I'm weird and awkward, I'm never embarrassed, and we can laugh about those things and love those moments. When we do all those things that I just talked about and we truly love ourselves, or at least we're like working on it, we give every person around us the freedom to do the same. And then we have peace, which is truly the ultimate happiness. I hope that it made sense. I would have loved to sit here and like talk to you about my own journey for all of this, but suffice it to say that if you take it seriously and you take good advice when it's given to you, and that is part of growing up, being able to tell what's good for you and what's not good for you, like what's good advice and what isn't good advice. Like once you know if it's good advice and you take it to heart and you try to actually put it into practice, like hopefully the stuff we've been talking about on this channel, you will be able to get to the place earlier in life when you can appreciate who you are and appreciate who you're trying to be, and just love yourself and be comfortable and happy with it and everything. Like life is literally, for me, like everything got so much better just when I started to love myself. Not even necessarily because situations change or anything like that, but just because I changed, you know, and I wasn't exhausting myself trying to be this person that I wasn't, and I wasn't exhausting myself trying to prove anything to anybody, or trying to compete with people, or trying to prove to myself certain things, like that I was lovable, and what have you. Like I just feel that way about myself now, and I don't need anyone else to. I like that they do, and I would still be okay, like I would still be okay with myself because I know who I am and I know who loves me. And I mean, part of that is me being a Christian, but I know that like on this channel I have to be careful with what I say and what have you, so that when you get to the point where you can love yourself, you truly are at peace, and it changes everything, and also it just feels amazing. So I hope that made sense. I hope that you guys, if you're not already at that place with yourself, can get there, and I hope that it's a beautiful, eye-opening learning journey for you. But that was that. So now we're gonna get into some fun stuff real quick, and so here we go. So OOBLEK is that weird non-Newtonian fluid that if you hit the top, it's a solid, but if you just try to like touch it or put something in it, then it sinks down and it behaves like a regular liquid again. I didn't have specific proportions, but they say usually 2 parts cornstarch, 1 part water, so whatever that looks like for you. I just did the best I could and ended up with a giant bowl that I will probably play with for a little bit before I throw it out. But it is super fun and it's cool to make, and the science behind it is awesome, so if you want to take the time to look that up. I just didn't have time to explain today, but it is science, so #STEM, #science, it's good times. For our next 2 activities, they were just different ways to make Play-Doh with flour and water. This is something that I ended up doing with my kiddos at the Y one time, and they just enjoyed playing with it so much. This is the Play-Doh with literally just all-purpose flour and water. So it's super cheap to make and it's fun to use. You do have to store it in a container or Ziploc bag, and usually in the refrigerator is better than just leaving it out, although playing with it once it's in the refrigerator, like you have to warm it up a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal, and again, it's really fun. But the other one I think does a better job. It's just that the other one involves quite a bit of salt, so if you don't want to use all your salt, you don't have to. And then here's the second Play-Doh recipe. I just use 1 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of salt, and then some water, just how much I thought that I needed. And then it turned out, as you will see, pretty good. It's my, like I said, it's my favorite version of the homemade Play-Doh. But again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to use your salt. And last but not least is Jiggly SLIME. This was so much fun, and as you'll see later, so much fun to play with. You basically make it the same way you make regular slime, except that there's a lot of water involved. Not too much, or it just doesn't turn out the way that you think. Like you're gonna have to keep adding glue the more you add water. And the consistency is kind of confusing at first, but that's because I found out that you have to leave it sitting out for 1 to 2.5 days in a container, possibly with a lid. I didn't put a lid on mine, but I did end up covering it like halfway through my waiting period. And as you'll see in a little bit, it's so much fun to play with. If you don't like weird sounds, then maybe this one's not for you, but I had such a good time with it. That's our video for today. As always, remember to keep living, learning, and growing. Big hearts, and I will see you next time. Recuerde, siga viviendo, aprendiendo y creciendo. Grandes corazones, y nos vemos próxima vez. Adiós.